So just as a matter, this is the Newberry Council on Aging Board of Directors meeting. And today is October 19th. And it is 1 o'clock. And just as a reminder, we are holding this meeting remotely. And it is being conducted via Zoom consistent with Governor Baker's executive order from March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth related to the outbreak of the COVID virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID virus, we've been advised by the Commonwealth to suspend all public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Again, we are holding this COA Board of Directors meeting via Zoom. And as we go through this, members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative that you are present. Jerry Dorr.
Present.
Joyce Macheros.
Present.
Evelyn Noyes.
She's muted.
She's muted. All right. She's here. Sandy Small.
Yeah, muted.
Muted also. Here.
Okay. And for staff members, we have Maggie, sorry, it's a Monday.
Maggie is just fine, and she's here.
And in the background, our new COA director, Cindy Courier. And Janine Cunningham as a community member.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so we've called the meeting to order, and just want to make sure that everybody has reviewed the September 21st meeting minutes. All right, do we have a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented?
Yes, I will make a motion to accept them as presented.
And I second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. And as I go through your names, please just respond in the affirmative or negative of whether or not you accept them. Joyce Macheros.
Yes.
Evelyn Noyes.
She's still muted. I'll text her.
Jerry Dorr.
I accept.
Sandy Small.
Accept.
And I also accept. And
Oh, she's on
Evelyn.
mute.
Yes.
Evelyn, do you?
I'm finally here. Yeah.
Okay. And do you accept the minutes as presented?
Yes. Yes.
All right. All in favor, the minutes are accepted. Thank you, Sandy, again, for getting those out to us very timely. It makes it much easier. So our next item, before we get into the next item, as I mentioned, we have Cindy Courier, who is the new Council on Aging Board of Director, or I'm sorry, the new Council on Aging Director in the background. So we definitely want to welcome Cindy. We look forward to getting to know you. And if you're able to give a brief introduction of who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good if we take this off. Yeah, I'm fine. Do you want to sit here for a moment?
Tight.
He has a face.
My background is mostly in healthcare. This is kind of a new adventure for me, so I'm happy to take any and all advice you all have. I have a background in home care, hospice, and skilled nursing facility. But I really love working with the elderly population, and I'm looking forward to coming up with some great programs to help the elders here in the town of Newbury.
Great, thank you.
And does anybody have any questions for Cindy? I'll go through the list. Joyce?
No, nice to meet you, Cindy, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Sandy?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Jerry?
No, welcome.
Thanks so much.
And Evelyn?
Yes, welcome. I do have some questions. Do you have any ideas on what type of programs and how will you implement them with the COVID?
I have been thinking about this actually since my interview with Chaz and Tracy, trying to figure out how best to reach out to people. Because I know this is such a difficult time. I'm still working on that, but definitely I'm comfortable going out into the community. So if me reaching out to people in person that way is helpful and people are open to that, I'm willing to do that. I think we can do visits by appointment here in the Council on Aging office. I'm also open to reaching out to people, letting them know I'm new here and I'm happy to meet them.
Okay, another question that I have is, I was talking to some elderly today, and like the next few months are the months that they would be looking forward to gathering. I'm manager at Oak Ridge and Quaker Hill, so I'm mainly speaking from for those folks right now that are really they were looking forward to their Christmas gatherings. They were looking forward to, different things that they have between now and the holidays. So how do you, what do you have for ideas that would fill that void for them and still keep them safe?
So I haven't come up with, I can't give you absolute specifics right now, but I am concerned about isolation. I have a 15-year-old daughter myself who's been going to school remotely, and I know how isolating that is for her as a young person. I'm kind of in that sandwich generation, so I have older parents and they're finding it difficult as well in terms of this isolation. So I'm just I'm certainly going to reach out to, I'm obviously going to use Maggie as a resource, and Chaz and all of you. If you have certain ideas that you think would be a great activity or a program or something I can do, I'm more than happy to accept some help in that area, but I am trying to figure out the best types of way to reach people. And again, it might be one-to-one interactions. And even I think having that one-to-one interaction with someone, even if it's a phone call, if people are savvy enough to get on Zoom and they want to do Zoom calls, I'm happy to do that. Or a phone call with someone, I think it goes a long way just to have a conversation with someone, to touch them during the day at some point, I think is important.
All I have.
Okay. All right, so we will go ahead and move on with the rest of the meeting. Maggie and Cindy, if you want to switch places again. And the next item on our list is review of the COA expenses since the last meeting.
Okay, and outside of wages, we have had our annual renewal of the postal permit that we utilize for newsletters. And that renewal fee is $240, 240. Our bottled water bill $37.93. And since the last meeting, an invoice from Byfield Auto, which included our annual inspection sticker for the van. Includes a couple of new tires, an alignment. That total was $647.45. So the van should be set for a while. Well,
All right, I will go through the list, and if anybody has any questions, please ask them at that time. Jerry Dorr,
No, accept it.
Joyce Macheros,
No, accepted.
Sandy Small,
Accepted.
and Evelyn Noyes.
Accepted.
All right, and I accept as well. Thank you, Maggie. So moving on to other business or new business. Maggie, do you currently have anything other than Cindy starting and working on this transition?
I was going to say Cindy's starting, and it's been wonderful to have Cindy here today and talking about, you know, things that Evelyn was mentioning, that we have talked about in previous meetings, about what to do next and how to serve seniors in an ongoing pandemic, and what Newbury can do, recognizing that the space is inadequate to have people in the center. And it's been nice to have Cindy just, you know, sparking the conversation about coming up with creative ideas. And I think you'll all be so pleased with Cindy. She's wonderful.
Megan, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there in school going on right now?
That was a little broken up. Did you ask about the school?
Yeah, are people in school now, or is it all remote?
There are some students in the school. There are high risk special needs
Oh, all
students
right.
and kindergartners. And the Triton District is going to take another vote on October 28th to determine if they are in,
When school starts.
right, if the data, you know, suggests that they can safely start again, I think on some type of a hybrid model. So anyway, the district will decide on the 28th. At the end of September, they decided they weren't quite ready, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is the van doing grocery shopping again?
The van has not started grocery shopping yet. I was hoping to have a fogger for the van in place before Cindy arrived, so that the COA could look at a date when they could resume, at least even on a limited basis, grocery shopping. I think that a fogger would be a nice, somewhat essential tool to have to sanitize the van in between trips. Anticipating that there will be different groups of people. The van can accommodate 4 people, 4 riders on a trip. And I've been told that foggers are not available at the moment. So we'll perhaps have to think about that and can talk about that with Cindy and the board and the van driver, how to move forward without a fogger for easier sanitation.
Is the fogger
What
mandatory?
other Have you reached out to other council on agings, how they're sanitizing? Do they all have foggers?
I don't think that they do. I know some have foggers, but I'm sure not all of them do. We can do hand sanitizing, sanitizing by hand.
Yes,
And we still don't have hand sanitizing dispensers on the van.
I see. Are they hard to get now? Is there a shortage?
They're not hard to get. I was able to find the dispensers, but there needs to be guidance as far as where to put them. There aren't easy
Is,
spots when I went to
is,
measure.
is there a protocol with regards to what you need to have in this span?
There's not hard and fast protocol, just the fact that there needs to be sanitation between groups of people and, having different groups of people on the van. That could be done, certainly could be done by hand. We had a request for the resident to use the van who required the lift. The ride didn't end up happening. The resident didn't need the ride after all.
Where was that ride to?
That was to Rowley, but just my thought was that engaging the lift, there are a lot of different pieces to sanitize. But I think, the longer time moves on here without a fogger, hand sanitizing is the only other option.
Well,
Do it by
have
hand.
you had many elders calling to ask when are we going to be able to go grocery shopping?
Not a lot. I think the regular grocery shoppers who had previously taken the van are
Yeah,
interested. We have had, as we have referenced in previous meetings, a small group of grocery shoppers
right.
who continue to do grocery shopping. And we did have a request for a grocery shopper for someone, from someone who is not able to get out.
Is
So
there any volunteers on board then to help them?
We do. We
Do
have a handful
Okay,
grocery shopping, which is a nice option. Excuse me, back in March and April, we were unsure how many volunteers we would have to do grocery shopping. So we, in the spring newsletter, offered to have people call, let us know if they needed assistance, and we would try to serve them if we could. This group of grocery shoppers has been consistent since March, so
well, that's good to know because I have a question. Are any in that group that have been consistent in a wheelchair? That we would have to worry about the sanitation of the ramp or whatever it's called.
oh,
I'm really feeling bad that we're not performing, taking them shopping,
Grocery
and
shopping, right.
I think it's such a necessity. That's all.
I think you're right, Joyce. I think that starting that back up for social and emotional health
Yes.
is a huge issue. So I had hoped that we could choose a date by the end of October to do that. So that can be perhaps a little more, what's the word? A little more pressure around getting the van into appropriate shape to take people back on safely.
Who do we have to pressure?
Well, we need some guidance from the DPW.
On where to place the sanitizer boxes or?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I see. Okay.
Not obvious to me. I've gone out to measure and I have not come up with great options.
Okay.
But it's something that Cindy and I can talk about.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What,
Sandy, did you have any? have
Oh,
anything?
I'm not sure if this is still on the other questions or not, but whatever happened to our little goodie bags that we were gonna do?
The bags should be arriving this week. We have the components for the bags. We're just waiting for the bags.
Do you
And
need help putting those together?
I don't know. Once we get the bags, we can take a look at that. I think maybe with Cindy and Janet and maybe the driver, we might be able to get that done.
Okay, and how are they gonna be distributed?
Cindy and I were actually just talking about that before the meeting. I think in a previous meeting, we had talked about the three senior communities, Oak Ridge, Quaker Hill, and Newbury Village.
Okay.
How to distribute them, we could talk about a plan for that. Choosing a day to come out, have Cindy, with masks on, a safe distance, get to at least introduce herself to the folks in those communities, maybe in the community room. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would work. We could actually just set up appointments and, there's in Oak Ridge is 24 units and 22, and Quaker Hill has 24. And not everybody's gonna come out, that's for sure. And down to Newbury, you have 48 units. So you could kind of set up a time frame and just make sure people 6 feet apart and have masks and just do a quick hello, here's your bag, goodbye. Just to make a contact and to see our COVID money at work. And speaking of COVID money, what do we were given $5,000. How much is left of that?
Correct. It hasn't been spent. The check was just deposited, arrived and was deposited, I think it's 2 weeks ago. And a new account was set up for it. So it's its own account, dedicated account, just for this purpose, for outreach.
So if you needed a defogger or a fogger, whatever you call them, you would be able to, there might be some money in there.
We could ask as to whether that would be an acceptable use of the money. Have to ask Elder Services if it could be utilized for something like that.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't even know that we need one because that van's not that big to hand sanitize,
Right.
That's a good idea. Excuse me, Evelyn. That's a very good idea. It's workable because even on flu season and you're taking people in the van or anytime, it's not that big. And if we're full to capacity in the van, it would be great to be able to do it for just the reason of killing germs.
I agree. I can pursue that. I can at least ask the question. Could we utilize it for that? And I know that the town was having difficulty finding a fogger, but I haven't asked in probably 3 weeks. The previous police chief retired, and his successor, there may be greater ability to find one now. It was one of those items that was difficult to come by.
I was on HQ, which is our supplier, and they did have them.
Oh, they did.
Yep.
Okay.
That was online.
I'm looking on Amazon right now. The cheapest one is 115 and they're all available.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I searched last week and I found a wide variety of price, a pretty broad price range. from, $100 to well over 1,000. I don't know what the differences are. I don't know enough about it.
Well, I think the capacity, you're only looking to do a small vehicle. And the one I just read says it's good for restaurants and schools. And that was $169.
There you go.
We could probably even pay that out of your own money or the council's money.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be fine to take out of one of the regular accounts.
I hope the next meeting, when we talk, we can hear that the grocery shopping has started again, and that gives them an opportunity to get out and do something and social a little bit and just walking around the store, as long as they're careful. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think it'll have a psychological effect too.
right.
Um,
That's what
yeah.
I was trying to say. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hope for the best. And if you
Oh,
need our help, we're right here.
Thank you.
Sandy, did you have anything?
Yes, I have a couple of questions now that I've had my tea. Cindy, you like to be called Cindy or Cynthia?
Cindy is fine.
Cindy, okay. Do you have a separate email or are you going under Maggie's at this time? You just started, so you don't know, but.
I believe it's the same, though. I think it's the general council on aging director.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay. Maggie, I know you haven't had time, but I don't know if Cynthia is familiar with Mass COA, all the information that they provide. On that, Cynthia, if you're not aware, there is I receive, and I can forward it to you. I'm sure Maggie has it, but it's a periodic email that you get, and it's many, many resources. And before we went way back before COVID happened, we were in the process of establishing regular presentations for our seniors. We wanted to have them, and as you can see, we don't have room in the location that we're at. So that's what really, really stuck the pin in the cushion for us to start looking for some space, because you couldn't really have that many meetings. You couldn't really get them to come because we didn't have the space. It's not for trying, but in that Mass COA, there are many online offerings, and I would be really happy to help coordinate some of that. I know I work as a senior for the IT person in the town of Newbury, and she has said that we could, utilize the Newbury Town Station, or we could video presentations, or we could they have pre-videoed presentations that we could coordinate and get online for people. A lot of the problem is seniors are not really computer friendly. So that is a problem, but we do have a channel that we can put stuff on, a Newbury channel. And I think that would be really good to get that stuff. I hate to jump on you the first day, but man, we're really anxious to get those people more attention.
Understood. And actually, Maggie and I had talked about that very thing of getting some programs on the TV station.
Excellent, excellent. Well, the other thing is we had a mention on the recent past week's selectmen meeting, and it was noted, all information that we had were census of Maggie 2010, right?
Yeah.
And it was mentioned that I guess probably they got it from more recent information. I think it was the selectman that mentioned it, that we have now 2,400 elders. I'm curious, do you know how many newsletters we send out, Maggie? Do you have a count on those? I mean, are we reaching all those people?
We are not.
So that's another area. I'd be curious how we get that up and running, help to do that, because now that we just had a new census, that's important to know. I mean, that's kind of a jump.
That is a jump. That's a big jump.
So we'd like to make if we get the newsletters out to them, then, and especially like you said, get the grocery shopping. So it's going to be like, oh, well, if they think it's safe, then I guess maybe we can come out a little bit,
We've been sending out, let's say, an average of 1,000.
Okay, so we're right now, so at one point we were getting more than half, but now it's a little bit less than half of them, so.
Right. It's we had added to that. There was a property tax work-off volunteer who added people. They need to be added to the database.
I knew you were working on it.
And she went back and added everyone turning 60 within a calendar year, and I think she did 5 years or more, because there used to be a dedicated volunteer, but it hadn't been done in quite a long time before 2015. So this volunteer went back and added. So that was wonderful, and a number of those folks requested to have their names removed from the list.
Yeah.
And each time the newsletter goes out in the mail, invariably there are newsletters that come back. That's part of the process. The Council on Aging pays to have them come back if they're undeliverable,
Right.
or someone is away or someone is moved. So that's also another way that the list is, the data is updated, and the list is called. But we have not for 2020 added everyone turning 60 in 2020.
So do you have a newsletter on the cusp of going out, or?
We do. I was hoping to have advice on a flu clinic for this season. I may have mentioned in the last meeting.
Yeah, you did.
That the town has decided to go in a different direction. So this year, and so I got the information on Friday, this past Friday. So
now you can add Cynthia.
I can add that. They're yes.
Good. All right. Thank you.
And may I ask what you're using for cameras at the COA today?
The COA cameras are a wonderful gift at the moment.
Nice.
From a friend of the Council on Aging, a dear friend.
That is great. Great. It was, kind of embarrassing that the COA itself couldn't come on because there was no computers with a camera. So this is great. Is it just the one and you're sharing it?
No, there are 3.
Wow.
Well, we're sharing because it just kind of, Cindy and I were talking before the meeting, and it just seemed to make sense that we stay in the same spot. So, but there are now 3, and I don't know if this generous donor wants to remain anonymous or not, but we'll leave it at that for the moment.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I thank her or him or whoever it might be.
I just have a few other things. I know a number of you were able to attend the select board meeting last Tuesday. It was announced for those who weren't there on what the status is of our bylaws. Apparently back on March 16th, 1976, when the town meeting warrant contained Article to establish the Council on Aged. That happened, but the steps to implement the article to incorporate the bylaws was not included. So that is in the process of being remedied. Tracy Blaze, the town administrator, does have it on the docket for the next town meeting. And once it goes through that piece, everything should be fine. The information, I will actually send out the determination from the legal consultants for the town to all of you following this meeting, just so you have copies of it. But as far as we're concerned, the COA's business how we run the COA Board of Director meetings will continue as is.
And we will be able to continue via Zoom. So that
Exactly.
when I go to Florida, I'll be able to vote for a change.
Exactly. I do not foresee Zoom going away anytime soon, nor those
Right.
orders allowing for Zoom meetings instead of in-person meetings. I think this is going to, if not become the new norm for meetings, this is going to continue at least through June of next year. Go ahead, Joyce. Did you have something?
No.
No.
Now, at some point, you'll get together with me or,
Most definitely. Most definitely.
okay, thank you.
So that kind of leads into the next topic. You know, I have notified all of you that effective
Yes.
December 31st, 2020, I will be leaving the Board of Directors and not seeking reappointment. My workload just within the past month has doubled, if not tripled. So I want to make sure that whoever is in the chair position and all of the officer positions, and even on the Board of Directors, they have the energy to be able to focus on all of these wonderful transitions that are coming up and wonderful opportunities that are coming up for the Council on Aging and our seniors in the community.
Well,
Also wanted to give everybody an update. Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley and North Shore is in the process of sending out surveys to the Council on Aging's to be sent out to roughly 100 people on their mailing list. They were hoping to get as many people from the communities to participate as possible. But some of the towns have 10,000 seniors. So they're just not able to process all of the responses. But so they're looking at a sampling of about 100 folks for each of the communities, and that is going to be going out. And they are also going to be sharing that information back with the Council on Aging to help with local needs assessments. I also have a copy of that survey, so I will also share that with you guys, that if later on down the road that you want to take that as a basis for continuing the needs assessment, you can also do that as well. I was only able to find one person to possibly assist, and it wasn't 100% guarantee. I reached out to Emmett with the state office. He was not able to lend any organizations, and I have never received a response back from MCOA on possibilities for that. So at this point, I believe waiting until Cindy gets started, Elder Services gets their survey process started, and also going back to the town to have them assist with the needs assessment will be best going forward. And Jerry, you had a question?
Who's going to send out these 100 samples?
They will be sent out by the local COA.
By-
The cost is paid for both for them going out and then also for them to be returned to Elder Services by Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley. So there is no
Thank you.
cost to us. Evelyn,
Yes.
do you have any questions that you're?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I had one, but I forgot what it was. I think it was as far as the, are we just looking for physical now? The physical assessment?
This will still be, I think for an actual needs assessment to occur, you need to consider all of the factors. So looking at the programming, what folks really want, and then also looking at the space. I think all of those components are very important to coming up with a good determination for the needs of the community, not only for this year, but also the next 15, 20 to 35 years.
Right. So so the space assessment, that could conceivably, this is a question, I don't know this, could that conceivably be the person that designed the police station, say, that same person?
Yes, and I think that that would be more from the town side of it, but having the necessary information to say, we've surveyed 300 of our elders in the community, they want in-person yoga, or they want birthday bingo. This is what their main focus is. They want to have that social experience. That
Yeah.
in-person social experience will help lend to say, this is what our community wants. This is how much space we're going to need.
Okay, but and bear with me, I'm just tossing this stuff out. So the study that the three of us did showed the needs of the elderly, okay? As far as social aspects. So couldn't a person that's designing a building, wouldn't it be logical for him to take the number of elders and knowing what their social needs are and fit that into space? Or am I being too simple about it?
No, I think that's definitely one component to it, but having that actual backup documentation from the town, the population will assist as well, especially whenever this has to go to not only vote through us, but then also through the select board, then it has to go to town committee. And
Right.
in most likelihood, it will have to go to the entire town to be voted on.
Right. So,
So having all of those components to say, this is what we've done, and this is what the town, the community of the town needs and wants. To have that information will help with that buy-in from the voters to say, okay, we're going to spend the X number of dollars on the Council of Aging. Here is why it's important.
okay, so at this moment in time, where are we with finding these people? Or you mentioned the survey, that's going to become part of it, right?
Correct.
And so we'll get the survey done, and who do we turn that survey over to?
Well, the survey will go back to Elder Services, and they will provide us with that information. If we want to expand beyond their 100 people, then we can do that as well.
Okay. So why couldn't that survey be attached to the back of the newsletter that we send out? If we send out 1,000, that should be pretty good.
It can, but Elder Services only has the capacity to process 100 from each town.
No, but I mean, couldn't we make a copy of it and just attach it? Okay.
Yep, you can edit it, you can adapt it so that the information is coming back to the COA, and then somebody is going to have to document and tally all of that information.
Yeah, well, we could do that, I think.
Could I interrupt?
But Evelyn, that's a great idea.
And Cindy, go ahead.
Wondering, when I go out with these goodie bags, even to these 3 senior communities, and I'm doing a meet and greet with people, I could have some informal conversations and question them. What are you looking for out of the Council on Aging? I can do that kind of outreach as well. to try
Yes, most definitely.
and-
Yeah, and I don't think that there's just one one particular way of doing it. I think it's looking at a combination of individual meetings, individual phone calls, having focus groups, having the survey. That way you're getting a broader aspect for what everybody is thinking individually and as part of smaller groups, and then compiling that information together to give you a more broader general guidance on moving forward.
Right.
Because what you may be interested in, I may not be. You know,
Correct.
I don't want to go to birthday bingo. I spent 10 years helping organize a 1,000 to I want to say it was almost 3,900 people during bingos. I don't want any part of bingo anymore. I'm bingoed out. So it's getting all of those individual pieces together and trying to come up with a good game plan that works for everybody.
But what you said a few minutes ago is like, we've got to project like for 10 years.
Exactly.
So and Joyce, you can help me on this because my memory is foggy, but when we went to visit Merrimack,
Yeah.
the director had things broken down into generations. So all that would enter into it too. So we're really speaking to an unknown.
I think so.
Is unknown.
I think, oh, go ahead. Sandy wants to say something, so let her speak first.
The problem I have with doing a needs assessment, I understand we have to sell the town, but by the time, can we get this all done by town meeting next spring? Because, and on top of it, all this stuff that you take in, by the time we build it, it's going to be a whole different generation. I might not be able to walk to the damn place by the time we get it built. So if you take a needs of somebody that wants yoga or birthday bingo now, they may not be around by the time the building is there. So can't you take a general needs of what people would want, an overall needs assessment? I mean, and cover some in-person, some online type of thing. I just think I'm sorry, I think it's a waste of time, because you're not going to have the same population by the time the building is built. You're not going to have it built next year. Just my opinion.
And if I could add to that, I think once we have space, you try all of these different things. You can look on and see what the Massachusetts Council on Aging is recommending, and you go by who comes out and who doesn't come out. If there's a no-show, very low population, well, that didn't go over too well. Let's try something different. It's all there in writing, all the different items that the different COAs are doing. And every town is different as far as who's going to turn out for what class. But it's trial and error. Do you understand what
I think that speaks to what we're all thinking about. When we look at space, the space should be flexible. Because you may need 5,000 square feet today, and in 10 years from now, you may not. So it's got to be space that I think other people use also.
That's good.
All right, since we're at a big impasse here,
Okay.
what are we going to, we got to do something. I'm with Joyce or whoever said that this, we may not even be ready for town meeting if we don't get something put together. So what do we, Chaz, who do we have to talk to if the majority of the board doesn't feel we need all of these studies and all that? Who do we have to convince?
That would be the select board. During the select board meeting where they've said that we could move forward with this, but they wanted a needs assessment done. So they've pretty much made up their mind. They want this backup documentation. So it would be convincing the select board that it's not needed.
So that 100-person assessment that's going out could act as a document for that.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, all of these little pieces will start to come into play that you may not need to spend an entire year doing a phone call to every single consumer and their children. These are the components that go into an actual needs assessment. On average, I've been watching a number of the towns that have been building new facilities or moving into new facilities, and it's been taking anywhere from 3.5 to 5 years to move towards that piece. I know that this has been something that's been pressing since this current space, and the COA moved into it in the late 90s. Shortly after they moved in, they said, oh, this space is too small. We don't want to get to that point where every 3 to 5 years, we have to keep going back to the town to say, we need new space. So I think having a good plan that extends beyond just the next 3 years and sets the Council on Aging and the town up for the next 10 to 15 years, more preferably on the 15 years side, it's going to make it an easier buy-in from the voters to say, okay, we're not going to be asking for new space every single year. I know the process is slow. Believe me, and I'm not in any disagreement that I do believe that the COA needs new space. It's just getting to that point of what is going to work and getting the town to buy in on it. You know, we have all seen the struggles of the fire department, the police department, the town hall, and getting that passed through the voters. So I think if we do our homework on our end and our due diligence, we'll be able to get the town voters to buy into this much more easily.
All right, then what can we do to start getting that information quickly?
Okay.
Besides the elder service thing, is there something else we can do? You are more familiar with this.
Again, I'm happy to send you guys out the survey that they're sending. So if you want to, there's a lot of components. It's over 3 pages long. Some of it, I believe, can be cut down and just added to a simple newsletter and have somebody be the point person on collecting that information and tallying it.
We could do it. I
step.
know that Susan could do a broadcast rather than doing it on a newsletter.
Yeah, you can definitely put something up on the website through SurveyMonkey or one of the other programs out there. You can have somebody sitting in the COA taking phone calls as people want to respond via phone instead of doing it electronically. There's multiple different ways of doing it.
I know from time to time they've put information in people's tax bills too, because you'd have to, the people over to the housing don't get tax bills, but there are many other elderly in town that do.
And I think too, with Cindy starting in, I think this is a good way for her to start introducing and making those in-person or over the phone contacts with individuals to say, hi, I'm Cindy, the new COA director. I just want to introduce myself. Have you been to the COA? And that could be something separate where you're not going through 50 or 60 questions. You're asking 3 or 4. Have you been to the COA? What do you like about it?
Good idea.
All right. At this point, I would like to open it up to the community member. Janine, if you have any questions or comments you would like to add?
No, I have been to the council, the space, found it very inadequate and really unsuitable for the town and for us. I mean, I'm a homeowner. I live in town. I've lived here many, many, many years, and I don't get any council on aging information at all. I haven't even heard. I just started asking a few questions and happened upon Evelyn and started bugging her and, and I understand things take time, but I also think there should be something ready to bring to the town meeting so that we can set the stage. So we can't sit here and begin to think about these things. We need to start acting and looking at it and putting things in place and we have to take some baby steps because, it is going to be a little bit of a tough sell. But I also think people have come to a point where they understand that it is a significant need. And we need to really, take what you guys have already done because it was really very, very well done. And thank you for the time you put into it because, it did take an effort, but we need to take that information and begin to move it out so that the community can see, and then working with a formal needs assessment, if you will, because that's what the town is going to want and need in order to really legitimize our space and needs and just keep moving forward. Because we're not meeting our needs. We're not meeting, even under COVID, there's so little going on that, and that's been the case in this town for a long time. It hasn't met everybody's needs. And we all have different needs, so I want to thank you for what you have done. I'm very interested in joining the board of directors, and I'm looking forward to hopefully working with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good comments. All right, does anybody have anything else?
I actually asked Janine a question.
Sure.
What kind of things would you, when you say people have different needs, like what are your specific needs that you'd like to see us offer?
I think I'd like to see, well, given that we've got COVID going on, this is going to be a lot more difficult, but in a normal situation, in a normal time, if you would, some outings together, maybe some group trips, it doesn't have to be a big to-do, but some kind of a group, that we can get together with other people in town and, there are some people who would want knitting classes and things like that, or bingo. But as we look at some of our folks now, those sort of things are kind of going by, and that's not what, we want to be a little more active, and some of us are still able to do that. So, that kind of thing would be really interesting to me. Maybe, maybe book clubs and.
Oh my gosh, I was writing down all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Trying to think of different ideas. And again, pre-COVID,
Yep.
like, would you go on a wine tasting trip if a group of us went to a wine tasting? I love the book club idea. The book club idea was something I wrote. I'll show you my notebook. There's all kinds of different things I was thinking too, that to get that.
Except the bus goes at 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be tough.
We could figure something out. I'm just trying to get many. Obviously still have things here in the building or wherever space we
Right.
land, but to also do things
Right.
for more active people.
Exactly. And some people might want to sit around and learn new card games or I admit, I don't knit or crochet. I don't know if I want to start. That's, to be honest, but there are people who would, and, my granddaughter, they live up in New Hampshire, was at the library and taking lessons from a woman from the Council on Aging, was coming to the library and teaching these 10-year-old girls how to knit. And she was loving it. And what great multicultural, I mean, multi-generational, you know, thing. I mean, those sort of things could be helpful for some people, you know, getting out and meeting the young folks and being helpful to them and vice versa, you know. We have a lot to teach them and they have a lot to teach us.
Great.
Sounds good.
That's in our report too, the importance of melding the youth with the elderly. We discovered that, and we also discovered that isolation is probably the worst problem that the elderly have. And whatever tool you have of bringing people together is very important.
Absolutely, Evelyn.
Could I ask with the library, I live in Middleton, so there's a story hour at the library.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm wondering if that's something that we can, once story hour gets back to, you know, whatever kind of normalcy there will be, like something that we can do in that sense with the children's room of the library. I don't know if that's even,
Well, the library offers a book club.
okay.
Our library is very active. I get their newsletters and they have enormous amount of resources there. I can forward that to you, unless you have it, Maggie.
We do, the COA gets receives the newsletter. the
Yeah,
monthly.
they have unbelievable resources.
They do, they're terrific.
And maybe we could partner with them and be, you know, part of some of that. That would be fun, you know, for a lot of people.
Are you interested in more like educational things?
Yeah.
Learning a new skill, or you know, even something as simple as someone who doesn't have, I don't have Facebook, but someone who doesn't have Facebook, learning how to use that so you can stay in touch with your family, or you know, kind of more. All right, good.
Yeah, and cooking, you know, you could do cooking classes, you could do demonstrations, you could do, you know, Zoom, you could teach how to use Zoom.
Right.
You know, because that in itself can sometimes be restrictive, you know, so,
Absolutely.
and then they could get out and have family meetings. I mean, I know a lot of families who are having cocktail hours together over Zoom, you know, after they've had dinner. So, you know, if we could help, you know, educate some of the people on how to use that, or there's all kinds of possibilities out there.
We had even thought about one of the things that we were going to do was a program on nutrition, because we discovered that the elderly were not eating as nutritionally as they could. And we were going to bring someone in that perhaps could show them on a limited budget how you could eat better. I think that could be done via Zoom also.
Oh, definitely. I bet you could partner up with the nutritionist at the hospital and she'd be happy to help out. You know, we could partner up with you know, nurses so people could have questions on how do I take care of this, or how do I take care of that, or, you know, ask questions about the importance of flu shots and can I get the flu from a flu shot or no, you know, but we need to be out there and give them those educational moments, if you will.
These things I think would be good on that local cable channel. We could do a recorded program so that it's more informational but engaging still, so that you're learning something.
Yeah, because everybody all the elderly do not know what Zoom is. They think it's a sound the car makes.
Yeah. Okay, folks, speaking on Zoom has been holding people to their time limits. So I believe that we're scheduled for a few minutes past 2:00. So before we get kicked off, I do want to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn at 2:05 p.m.?
I make a motion.
A second.
I'll say,
And all right.
okay, sound good.
All right. So Jerry Dorr, closing the meeting, yes or no?
Yes.
Joyce
I agree.
Macheros?
Yes.
Sandy Small,
Yes.
and Evelyn Noyes.
Yes.
All right, and I also say yes. So we are now concluded the meeting at 2:06 p.m. and I will send you guys out that information following the meeting. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
for everybody. And again, welcome Cindy, and we all look forward to working with you, and Janine as well. Thanks, guys.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.